Welcome back. I'm Jeremiah Sirles. This week on Husker Huddle, we have Spencer Long, former Nebraska offensive lineman and 7-year NFL vet offensive lineman, and one of my close, dear personal friends. Spencer, how are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, just trying to stay ahead of the curve here, and I wanted to get caught up with you. It's been a while since we've gotten able to get caught up with you and see how you're doing. You're going into 7th year, which is absolutely remarkable. You spent your first 4 years as a third-round draft pick on the Washington Redskins. You were then up in the New York Jets for 2 years, and you then spent the last 2 years going into your second year here with the Buffalo Bills. Walk us a little bit through what that NFL lifestyle's been like for you and kind of how you've been able to navigate it all the last 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a long-ended question, but it was a lot, as far as changing cities, changing areas, changing lifestyles, especially coming from, living in the country in Nebraska to moving to Washington, D.C. for the first 4 years. That was a big adjustment. The lifestyle was a big adjustment. I mean, going from working so hard during the season and then off season, you're completely off, but you have to be responsible with your time. And then, after Washington, moving cities for 2 years in a row, that was pretty tough. I'm kind of a homebody, so I like to, get used to my space and what I'm used to. So that was a hard adjustment, but it's looking back on it, the days are long, but the years go fast. You know what I mean? So it's really gone by super quick, and I can't believe it's year 7 already.
It's wild. Well, we got to touch a little bit on free agency in the NFL. It's been absolutely wild these last few weeks. Biggest one being Tom Brady is no longer in the AFC East, which, in my opinion, puts the Bills and your squad there for, the taking. You guys got a young team. Talk about what makes Buffalo so special. Again, I know because we've been friends, you've talked about the teammates and the environment that is Buffalo Bills, but what makes that team just a little bit different than some of the other teams you've been on?
It just kind of reminds me of Lincoln. I tell people that all the time. It's a super good fit for me. It's community football. The team means everything to them. Buffalo native is a diehard fan. They love their players through thick and thin, and they've had their struggles in the past, but they're still loyal. And it's just all about Bills football up there. And they're small town people, hard workers, blue collar people, and it's just a good spot for me. It's a little different than New Jersey and New York City and all that. And I like it. It's been a good change for me, so I'm glad I got a little continuity there going into year 2 for Buffalo.
Yeah, one thing that I know that you and I talk about quite a bit, and we've talked about some of our other buddies, is how stressful free agency really can be. We've got our buddy Brent Qualley, he's going with the Houston Texans this year. Alex Lewis just signed back with the Jets. Malik Collins to the Raiders. Things moving all over, and everyone sees the really cool part of free agency, which is the media posts and the moving on, but you and I have lived it, and it's a lot more stressful than people let on. How happy were you this year to not have to be dealing with free agency, to be under contract, and to be able just to kind of put all that to rest this offseason and really focus on just playing football?
Oh, it's so much better. People don't realize that going into free agency, you don't have a job. Like, imagine not knowing where you're going to be, who you're going to be working for. Hopefully that you're going to continue to play football, so your job occupation remains the same. But it's tough. You don't know who's going to pick you up, who's the most interested, what your salary is going to be, where you're going to go. And it's all super happy once everything happens, and it's super exciting. But until you have that home, there's a lot of uncertainty, and it's just something you kind of have to accept. But this year, I'm happy to remain a Buffalo Bill. I'm happy to be there. There's no place I'd rather be right now. So I'm super happy to, continue to year 2 there and have another year of continuity and not have to switch cities again, because that's another adjustment.
Yeah, the nice thing about not having to adjust is having that stability. And speaking of stability, you and I have lived back here in Nebraska pretty much. You've been here your entire life. We come back here every offseason. A lot of guys come back here every offseason. Why don't you tell guys what makes it so special as to why you want to come back here in the offseason? As NFL players, we have free reign. We can go anywhere. We can live anywhere in the country in the offseason. And we all have our reasons that we come back to Nebraska, but what is a couple of those reasons for you that why you always come back here, especially to the university, to train and really still stay involved with this Husker program?
Yeah, that's a big part of it, is the university and how well they treat us. And they get to come back and act like, we're still athletes there. And They take really good care of us and open their doors to us and treat us like family. So that's been a huge part. A lot of it's been, having, I know we're one shy. Unfortunately, I can't trade with you anymore, buddy, but we've had a good group, in the past 6 years. But that's another reason we got a solid group of guys that would always come back and use the facility. So it's kind of like having a group of offensive linemen that, we get to come train with and like kind of pick up where we left off, and we all get to incorporate our own ideas into training and all that stuff. But it really is because the university opens their doors to us and treat us like family. And once a Husker, always a Husker type of deal. And it's really nice. And another reason is just, this is where I'm from. This is the pace of life I like. I just, simpler things out here in Nebraska, and my family's out here. I got a good core group of friends out here. So it's just a place I like to be, and I always will be. The only problem is I don't get to play golf immediately in the off season. So that's the only negative I can think of.
That's a fair one. I know you're a big golfer. Well, with this coronavirus thing going on, one of the things that we've been talking about with guys is how this affects your everyday lifestyle and how this affects your training. I mean, OTAs have now been pushed back, maybe canceled indefinitely. The start of the season may look like it might now be in jeopardy. What are you doing now to prepare for the unknown, really, not knowing when this is going to come and start back up? What's kind of been your mindset as things have unfolded here with not being able to go to OTAs this year for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, guys have been a lot really uncertain about it, and gyms are going to be closing down. I know we're not on complete lockdown here in Nebraska yet, but that's a real possibility, and we don't know how long this thing is going to last. So I'm lucky enough that I was able to get a space, in my home that I can start building a gym. And I wasn't going to do that yet because I didn't need to, but it kind of forced my hand. And lately, even in last week, I've been scrambling to kind of put something together so I can at least keep up my physical shape as best I can in my house if we do get on lockdown and really put in quarantine. And so that's one thing I've been doing, and hopefully I can find a turf field somewhere to get the field work in and just go run outside and when the weather's all right, and just kind of maintain it as best you can. But I'm trying to get fully prepared that if they force us to remain in our homes, that I'm prepared to remain in physical shape. And it's different for people, if it's our job, it's something we need to do. And staying in physical shape, yeah, sure. Yeah, if you're on quarantine, you can, as a, regular citizen, okay.
Like me, I'll just ride my pellets on.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good, and everybody, I'm glad everyone wants to, but I kind of have to, or else. So it's definitely very important. So I've been kind of scrambling there, and I'm forced to spend a little bit of money to try to build something at home that I can maintain with. And that's definitely on people's minds. I know I'm talking to some of my teammates right now and saying, what are you guys doing? And do you guys have a plan? And what can we do? Or what ideas did you guys have? And a lot of guys are in the same boat. And I know there's our strength coach and strength staffs are kind of writing hybrid workouts and at-home workouts just in case people can't leave. Because I know there's a bunch of guys in California and New York right now that aren't going to be able to go anywhere. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird deal. People don't understand a lot of times, you have to train, at least 5 to 6 days a week if you want to stay in peak physical performance to go there. So, well, shifting gears a little bit here, Spence, you spent a lot of time down at the university. You were training there. We got to talk a little bit about this 2020 Huskers team. First of all, missing spring ball. I know you and I kind of do little cheers because spring ball was brutal, and we were just like, man, good for them. But I really think that this year, this spring ball was going to be really important for these guys in the fact for their development and their growth. What do you think missing spring ball for this Husker team is going to mean in the fall?
Especially when you're in the developmental process of football, it's not going to mean quite as much for, a person 3 or 4 years into the NFL, but these are crucial times as a football player to develop your craft. And I feel bad for the guys because they've worked their butts off all winter, putting on weight, gaining speed, conditioning. That's a lot of hard work to put in to get prepared for practice, and all of a sudden that's the rug's pulled out from under them, and there's nothing they can do about that. Unfortunately, some things take precedence over football, and we have to be real here. This is a serious situation that lives are at stake. So it's something we unfortunately have to do, but it kind of puts things in perspective. But I know it means a lot to these kids, and it definitely means a lot to fans and former players and people that care about the program. And I guess all we can do is the best we can with what the hand we're dealt and what we're given. And I just I hope the guys are finding a way to maintain that strength and really still focus on football. Maybe get some extra film in, get some technique work in wherever they can. I mean, there's really nothing else you can do about it. It's just unfortunate, but I think it was very crucial for this young team to start building on it, and we'll see how it turns out. But every practice is an important one at this time for this team, but unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to change that right now.
Yep. All right. Last question for you, Bud. Going into the 2020 season for the Huskers, what are you looking for from this team? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think that we're going to be a 10-2 team, but I mean, you're a former player. You look at it from the former player lens, much like I do. What are you looking at this 2020 team and thinking that this is what you want to see? Not a record prediction, but just what do you want to see out of year 3 Scott Frost team?
I want to see more consistency. I don't want to see the ups and downs. I don't want to see the mass turnovers. To be honest, looking back and thinking about what I've watched over the last couple of years, it's been a little bit sloppy, and I think that comes with youth. I think that comes with time in the system and all that. And I think, hopefully this year, I believe that this team, will start to show a little bit more consistency all around, and start building a real platform and foundation to build upon, and continue to build upon as the years go on. I mean, I know under Coach Frost, like he's proven, what he did out there in his previous position and all that. I think the future is bright, and I really do. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic about this team, but in order to, really jump hard into that, I think we need to see major improvement and consistency, and just going out there and being like, okay, I watched that game. I'm like, all right, those kids battled. They worked their butts off in that game, and they dominated. And I haven't seen that game yet. I haven't seen a dominating performance yet.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all looking for as we head into year 3 here under the Scott Frost regime. Spencer, I thank you so much for joining us here on Husker Huddle tonight. I appreciate your time, and we'll all be watching next year as you go out there with the boys in blue up in Buffalo and hope for a good, healthy season, and we'll catch back up with you soon.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Take care.